Literally everything on this freaking planet has to find food for itself. From ants to felines to canines to fish to reptiles. Like every freaking thing on this planet hunts, whether you like that or not. Let's just say, congratulations, you make this into a bill. I think that the majority of people will still be hunting. It's not man's law, it's nature's law. And it's the only thing that's going to stand in the end. What's up, wild people? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to my channel, I am Alexandria Denise, your self-sufficiency coach in the area of hunting, fishing, and gardening. Hence why I'm about to talk about this topic today. So if you're new to the channel, welcome to my channel. If this is your umpteenth video, don't be a scavenger and just take the meat and run. Subscribe to the tribe and push that notification bell so that way you're notified of all the self-sufficiency content that I have to produce, and share the video. Use whatever new feature that comes about to help push it out there, and let's attack this subject, because I'm pretty sure by now a lot of you have heard of the Peace Act, or the IP28 bill. It's not even a bill right now. I'm going to call it more of a wish list, because this is a fantasy that's like way above anybody's head. That's what I'm going to call it, because after I tell you, you probably already know, but if you don't know, the state of Oregon is kind of not at peace right now with this new proposal that is possibly go to the ballot. But it's looking pretty promising after so many years of them trying. Animal activists, I hear, it's like 3 years in of them trying to push this into the voting box. They might get what they want this year. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But first they have to validate the number of signatures that come in to determine if this is even vote worthy, so that I'm not misquoting it or misrepresenting it. Trying to be fair, I'm going to go ahead and just list off. The Oregon Peace Act seeks the removal of legal exemptions that currently protect hunting, fishing, trapping, and standard farming practices in Oregon. Anything that has anything to do with animal husbandry would become illegal, making participants subject to criminal charges. Criminalizing standard agriculture, so that's the raising of animals for food, dairy, eggs, or fiber, would be classified as animal abuse. It would also ban standard livestock management and breeding practices, including artificial insemination, dehorning, tail docking, and castration. So redefining animals
Bruh.
to include both forced impregnation and the masturbation of animals, even when performed for agricultural purposes. Banning animal research, the use of animals for scientific, medicinal, or educational programs would be strictly prohibited. Establishing a transition fund. So basically, they're trying to help move people from those industries into other industries. You get the gist of it, okay? And you see now why I call it a wish list. But, you know, I tried to hold off as long as I possibly could to make this video and make sure that I'm gathering all of the details. And I was trying to figure out, who is this really going to affect? Is it really going to affect just the hunters, just the fishermen? No, it's actually going to affect everybody in the state, including Native American tribes. See. Oh, let me stay on subject really quickly. I have listed this out. Bear with me. So I'm going to just go ahead and list off a few things based on the stuff that was told here, why this is a bad idea, if not a stupid one or demonic. If you're pretty much new to the self-sufficiency lifestyle, or hunting in specific, hunting licenses or any type of license that you get from the state, be it recreational, it goes towards holding land, because you have federal land and you have state land. Okay, so the U.S. government owns a lot more land than probably the state of Oregon itself. So in order for them to make these a recreational area, they have to either buy or lease that. Tax dollars barely so ever go towards conservation. You would be lucky if they do. And if they go to like conservation, it's mainly for like those other state parks that probably won't allow hunting or something like that in it. It's just purely for enjoyment purposes, and that's great. Also, paying for game wardens to enforce actual restrictions that affect hunting, fishing, and all the other types, to make sure that people aren't violating wildlife. Okay, I mean that's pretty reasonable. But also, what this help pay for is the cleanup of the parks, the management of the parks, helping manage wildlife, and this goes beyond like deer population. We're talking about mosquitoes, tick populations, and I know that this year is a year of unnatural phenomenon when it comes to ticks. But here in Georgia, we do something called controlled burns, which actually goes back to Native Americans and what they used to do to cut back on vegetation and so on. But yeah, your conservation dollars also pay for that, because it's not just us that ticks annoy, it's also, you know, animals. And I'm pretty sure we've all seen those videos of animals just like collapsing from being drained of having a whole bunch of ticks on them. But that's nature. Nature is going to continue to do that, you know, whether we're there or not. At least humans kind of offset that. So this one way, or one thing that recreational dollars go to, aside from the tick population though, it will cause a booming population of animals in the city. I mean, let's just go ahead and say nature is going to be fine with or without us. But also, like I said, nature is going to nature. When you don't have certain checks and balances in place to help people and nature coexist, because some people don't want to live around nature. Some people want to go out there peacefully in their backyard without seeing a black bear or something munch on their chihuahua. The booming population of animals in the city, that is going to cause more human and animal conflict down the road. You know, children, pets, we've already seen the videos. I don't have to go into depths about that. And what's also saddening too is you're going to have a lot more vehicle to animal collision. About 2 weeks ago, a poor doe was struck by a car, gashed open and everything. And if it's in the city, you have to call 911 to get the go-ahead to discharge a firearm. In the country, I would have done it like no problems. You know, because I was in the city, had to do that, couldn't even get anybody on the phone to help me with that. So I just had to watch the animals suffer and die. You're going to have a lot more of that. And what makes it worse, she actually had 2 fawns in her. I got it on my Facebook page. So if you guys are not a part of that, go ahead, subscribe over there. I upload other things that I'm not uploading here anymore, such as shorts and the whole 9 yards. So just follow the Facebook page. I'll link it below. But let's just keep going as far as with this bill and what it's going to affect, who it's going to affect, so on and so forth. Oregon's economy. Every state should have their local economy, okay, to support their population. But to ban all forms of self-sufficiency, that basically would mean that Oregon would have to heavily rely on imports of other states that are around it, if not global trade itself. So you're talking about not only families being affected, but you're also talking about restaurants and tourism, because who wants to go to a state and only eat lettuce, you know? So yeah, not good for the overall business of things. And then who's going to pay for all of that? I really don't think that whoever proposed this, which I know who it is, I really don't think that they thought this through. Because it's like, who's going to pay for all of this? You know, this is going to fall back on the taxpayers, and that means that this state is going to have higher taxes just to import all of these goods so that you can feel good about not eating meat or abusing animals, which is not even abuse. Now, listen, I will say there are some practices that do need to kind of be tidied up, okay? But for the most part, if you've been on small family-friendly farms and everything, they really care about their animals. We have a couple of here in Georgia that I go to. And, you know, the animals look like, wow, y'all just over there shining and glistening and glowing in the sun, eating your hay. Okay, girl, I can only imagine that this will lead to a little more poverty in the state if there isn't already. Relying on government subsidies, which is so contradicting in the times that we live in right now, because we're on a time where a lot of people are saying, yeah, get off food stamps, and now you're forcing people on food stamps because you're taking away self-sufficiency. Please make the madness make sense. Moving on. So how does this affect the environment and the animals? I don't have to go into the science lesson of what more fuel and trucks and pollution and air quality and all this other kind of stuff, how this actually goes. So I can only imagine that with all the extra import just to keep afloat, that a lot of people's farms or whatever, you'll replace that with warehouses or something. You got to have a place to store all these goods or else they're going to go bad. So it's like, that's more deforestation that's happening. That means more homeless animals that get pushed into those cities, into conflict with people who don't want to be around nature and the whole 9 yards. So it gets pretty silly when some people get an idea about things and they expect everybody else to go along with it without actually thinking through critical details here. You know, this is one reason why I started my channel, to combat the idiocy of things that just honestly does not hold weight in nature itself. That's why I named my channel True Nature. Really understand nature and its balance. That something have to die for something else to live. Everything is a cycle. Being out there in nature, you really get a great understanding of the real balance that's happening. And I honestly encourage people to just at least start a freaking garden, and then it'll start to just piece itself together. Because when I heard the person that proposed this bill, or not even a bill, the wish list, when I heard him, he was talking about we can just survive off plant agriculture. And I'm just like, who's gonna tell him? Does he not know that plants also need dead things to grow? Like, I mean, how? Oh, I see. You think that chemicals are gonna save the day. Got it. All right. So forget, if you're talking about banning like all of animal everything, you're talking about now, eventually that's going to trickle down to gardening. What about the blood meal, the bone meal, the cow manure, the fish emulsion, all of these natural things that plants need for optimum growth? It's not all about nitrogen and water. It's also about the micronutrients in the soil or the microbiome. You're feeding them so that they can put it back to the plant and grow healthy. You're skipping the middleman. It doesn't work like that in nature. Nobody is out there spraying. Well, actually, hold on. Yeah, they are.
Stop the cap.
And I don't know. Like, it's so much happening, I swear. If one more thing, I am moving to the Leaf Village. Kakashi, move over. Like, I need my citizenship, okay? Back on this. If you don't understand that when you take away something that's natural and replace it with something synthetic, you are trying to eliminate a problem with your own solution that creates another problem, and then you're trying to create this other solution, and you're doing all of this chasing. When you take animals out of the equation, now you have a collapse. It's like plants don't want your lab-grown synthetic fertilizers and everything out there. And if you've been around on this channel long enough, you would know that I encourage more of the natural route than I do of any of the others. So now you're talking about eliminating organic agriculture, plant agriculture. Not to mention what happens when, even if that succeeds through your chemicals, and you're talking about even pest control, they can't do pest control in the States. How is that going to work? How are you going to feed people with just agriculture, and then, you know, the pests that want your food is also going to eat that food? So is that going to be a crime to eliminate them too? But okay, let me play devil's advocate. Let's just say, all right, you succeeded, and now you have nothing but agriculture, and you're using all chemicals to do that. But that chemical is also acting as a pest control. Okay, so is that not going to be criminalized or something? I don't know. Who's to blame for that? Would it be Monsanto, Bayer Monsanto, which is now it's just Bayer, but I'm going to say Monsanto because it sounds like the typical villain name. What about the animals that eat those animals, and then they end up getting poisoned by the chemical fertilizers for this because we've eliminated animal byproducts? These are the questions that I really don't think when they sat down and had coffee over this, I don't think that they really just, bought this up. It was just, oh yeah, we're going to do this and this and whatever. It's going to be so great, guys. No, honey. I am going to tell you right now, that is not a good idea. And as far as animal breeding goes, what would be the point in having any animal if they weren't bred into existence? I mean, think about that. If we got rid of all the animal agriculture, all right, there would be no need for these animals to exist. And what is so crazy is that when I was listening to a different interview, which comment down below or like this video, give it a thumbs up if you want me to do a reaction to the other interview with this guy in it. But he also was talking about, oh yeah, hunters, they have a whole concern about animal population and this, and this. And I mean, we've got that figured out through science. We'll just make the male animals sterile. Oh, wait, what?
Jesus Christ.
So you want to save animals by killing animals? I don't understand. Oh, well, you know what? It's funny because I kind of do understand, especially when it comes to the whole South Park rhetoric and everything, when Jimbo was like, we got to kill animals or else they're going to die. What hunters basically mean by that is that if there are too many animals in a certain area than what the area can support, then, that they're gonna basically starve to death. Yes, it's almost equivalent to having 6 people in your house and 1 person has a job. Somebody's either gonna have to move out or somebody's gonna have to bring in some income. It's just that simple. Either the environment has to improve or something has to get out of the environment, or else you're going to have an ecological collapse. It's just that simple. But if some people actually paid attention in science class instead of getting out here in the real world and forming their own opinion about things, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. Moving on. And you know what I just thought about? How does this apply to pets? Where do they, okay, would it be illegal to own pets at this point? Because think about it. You're letting an overpopulation of animals into the city, conflict with people. And then we're not just talking about deer. Deer are prey animals, and where the prey goes, predators follow. And out in the West, y'all have a lot more to worry about than we do over here on the East Coast. You have black bears, grizzly bears, coyotes, wolves, what else? Cougars. The list goes on. Bobcats. All of these other animals that don't understand human boundaries are going to cross those boundaries, and it's by no fault of their own. This is hardwired into them. They're just doing what they do. It's not their fault. But, when you have people that are not like myself, that don't want to be around nature and some more stuff, and they come outside and see a coyote snacking on their cat, that's going to be another problem. So then you'll be saying, well, what if we just don't own pets? And then there would be no need to mess with the wild animals. So you see, when you give a mouse a cookie, they ask for milk. I'm going to also talk about the animal testing. Now, this is actually something that I can definitely agree on. And I've always said that if it has to be tested on an animal, then it's probably too dangerous for the human body. I still stand on that to a certain degree. But how do you expect for the advancement of medicine? Now, I am a two-way street when it comes to the medical industry for so many different reasons. But I believe, of course, in the natural medicine, but then also things that is not enough for. If it is done with good intention, like other types of medicine to be studied or researched, But like I said, that's another topic for another day. But for people that actually need it and care about this subject, how does this work? For that reason alone, I don't see too many people, especially for those that want the advancement of medicine. I don't see this being something that they would be in favor for. I was doing a little more research, but there's speculation going on, and this is more on the conspiracy side. Take it however you feel about it. I'm just putting it out there, but it's speculation of the 2030 agenda. And that's basically you will own nothing and be happy. even if there isn't some elites from the upper echelons of society that has implemented this, it's just sad that you also have people who are willing to be the foot soldiers of this. You know, in a time where you think that people will go back to the basics that's worked before, you can't necessarily say that, oh, this is old time stuff. No, sometimes going back to the basics is the future. You know, our future is sometimes in our past. Nature is relatively unchanged just because you say it's year 2026, okay? Because it's not always the majority as much as it is the loudest. I understand that a lot of people that hunt, they don't really care to engage in it, not because they don't know what to say, but because they know that in the end, there's ultimately one order to things. That's nature's law and that's God's law. So it's like everything else is like under the rug. But sometimes you just got to nip it in the butt, because when you allow certain rhetorics or people to like just run rampant out there, it then becomes as if it is the majority. And that gets it into certain entities like, you know, corporations and whoever to say, wow, the people must want this. No, it's just literally a loud bunch of people. It's not everybody. It's seriously just a couple of idiots that had an idea about something, and we're going to leave it at that, okay? And this is not to disregard animals. Animals absolutely do have feelings. They absolutely do think. They are intelligent. They everything. And if you're out there, you will see this and you will understand this, you know? But for you to just believe that, you know, you're connected to nature because you're sipping on soy Slurpees or in dirty down rags and singing breathy songs about gathering together with nature and watching squirrels eat nuts and stuff, that is not connecting you to nature more so than actually being out there and being a part of this cycle. We are nature. We are a part of this system. We're not some distant alien that just came to this planet. I don't know. Maybe you are. Like the video. Hey, what's up? So to sit back and just say, oh, we can't mess with animals because, you know, this is their environment and, you know, this is ours. Okay. And it's time for a lot of people to reconnect to what nature truly means. Another point that I do want to talk on, I don't usually like to bring race into this or into anything where it's not relevant, but I think that it is pretty relevant. You know how certain movements just attract certain archetypes of people, and it's like, I can only see that the people that are talking more so about the peace wish list, I can only see that there are certain types of people with another type of narrative that's about taking down the patriarchy and white male misogyny and this and this and this. So when they see that mainly white males are the face of hunting, they're going to assume that these are the only people that it's going to affect. But honey, don't get it twisted. You have a whole plethora of races that engage in hunting, whether we exploit it or not. And then y'all bring Native Americans into this. You know they're not going to go, like, come on now. Imagine trying to recover from centuries of, you know, what was done to your peoples. And then these people show up telling you what else you can and cannot do with your land.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I would not be surprised if a lot of Native Americans come out and just shut this down. I don't really care about statistics or anything, but for those people that actually do, there actually isn't a census on Native Americans and how many Native Americans hunt. But if they are very connected to their cultural homeland and everything like that, this was a deep-seated thing in their tradition and their culture and their society, then I can only imagine a good portion of them do this. It's saying roughly 41% of Native Americans have hunted at some point in their lives and 38% have hunted within the past 2 years, according to the Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies. So that is fairly big. If that's in their entire population, I mean, that's almost the majority of them. Non-white hunters represent anywhere from 3% to about 28% of the total hunting community, depending on the source and different demographics that are classified. So that's still a good portion of people. I am a Black woman born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, with 2 Black parents, maybe even half Native American, but I don't know that side of my people. And I can rest and assure you, growing up in Memphis, there are a lot more Black people that hunt than you know. I know that there is a certain image out there, but let that image be that image. But then there is another side that is not seen and is not told. And for the stone that the builder refused, we didn't get subsidized by the government as much as we should have because of how funds and everything were handled way back in the day. It's changed now, but y'all know what the heck I mean. So yeah, you know, the country lifestyle is that much of that trade-off system. What I don't have, maybe my neighbor does, and we just, you know, work it out through that. We even work on this system right now, which is how we're surviving this crazy economy. You know, I just so happen to do hunting, fishing, and gardening. I am self-taught in hunting. Like I said, nobody in my family hunts. They don't even know where I got it from, but it always just felt like something that was innate that I had to do. It's like hunting has been a blessing to me. I have made a way out of no way. I don't have to rely on corporations and the government to feed me, and it is so freeing. I wish that everybody could like experience it, but obviously you can't force the horse to drink at the well. You know, if you're about that life, you're about it. If you want to do it, great. I encourage it. And that's the great thing about us as hunters. You wouldn't even know we hunt unless you talk to us. I mean, we're like freaking ninjas. Sometimes you'll be talking to somebody and it's just the subtle thing that picks up that you're like, you hunt, don't it? Oh, yeah, what you hunt? Oh, okay, yeah. So that's the thing about it. Some people don't wear it on their sleeve. To them, it's just a way of life. It's just like going to the freaking grocery store. If you ask me, I could argue that hunting actually is not a right as much as it is a life fundamental. It's literally on par with breathing. It's literally on par with being exposed to the sun or drinking water. You know, even growing up, I was told that hunting is a white man's sport.
Bruh. Shut your stupid.
So who told this lioness that? Literally everything on this freaking planet has to find food for itself. From ants to felines to canines to fish to reptiles. Like every freaking thing on this planet hunts, whether you like that or not. Let's just say, congratulations, you make this into a bill. I think that the majority of people will still be hunting. It's not man's law, it's nature's law. And it's the only thing that's going to stand in the end. Nature doesn't care about your feelings. You're not going to reason with her. She's going to do what's good for all of life, whether you like that or not. I want to just go ahead and say another thing. Let's stop making personal lifestyle choices a part of like ballots, a part of political. Everything that you choose to do in your life should honestly not go to a ballot box. Because if you ask me, it's like, if it's on the federal level, you should be worried about how you're going to make the economy better. How are we going to seal trade and whatever else, if that's what we need, and the whole 9 yards. Like, all of this other extra stuff, leave it at a local level. That's why we have branches of government. Everything does not have to be on a federal or state scale. If you don't like hunting, go and do, and I don't know, make a city of vegans or something. Vegan city, Las Vegas, or vegan. Leave everybody else alone. Hunters are honestly more of animal activists than actual animal activists. You know, you hear so much about them talking about animal liberation and this and blah, but where were y'all when BLM was slipped into the big beautiful bill? Basically what it was is that in the big beautiful bill, he wanted to sell off a lot of public land that was owned by the federal government to basically compensate for Congress's bad spending habits. And hunters was like, ho, no. Like, you're not going to take our natural resources and sell it off to whoever for whoever to do whatever with. These are resources we will never get back. Where were animal activists then? Where were you? We caught that. I don't even live over there. But people were calling in to the Senate and some more stuff like that to say, no, y'all got to take this out or we're going to demolish this whole thing because you are not taking wilderness area. Now, I can go ahead and say that you showed up for like the Catalina deer, like the. So yeah, you showed up for that. I'll give you that. But now what about the data centers? What about it? Millions of gallons of water a day. That's going to be polluted, maybe dumped back in rivers, animals drink it, they die, you know, deforestation, knocking down trees, little squirrels going homeless because they want to build some data center. Are you protesting that? Or better yet, you know, the housing development crisis. Why can't we knock down more, like, why can't we knock down the buildings that are no longer in use, you know, track down whoever owned those buildings, make a deal with them and say, hey, let's build and beautify our cities instead of just having them up here in slums and knocking down new territory so that we can, like, you know, build a house that is going to fall apart in 2 years. Because, yeah, these new builds are about nothing. You see where I'm going with this? Y'all show up for everything that don't matter except where it actually matters. But you know what? We know. There are the people who pretend to care, and then there are the people who just do the damn thing. That's it. You know, you got the wannabes and the OGs. That's what this is. But you know, it's not even a competition. Yeah. So I have ranted enough. Back to being cute. So, hey guys, don't just let me talk about all of this. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Could have held back a little bit, just a little. I know I came with claws out, but you know, like nature, I can be both kind and cruel. So hey guys, if you stuck it out in this video long as you have, leave it a green thumbs up so we can branch out and reach more people. Subscribe to the tribe. It is free. I know that subscriptions are running rampant in our community or in our world these days, but it is absolutely free, cost you nothing, mean everything to me. And I also made another video I think you would like that talks about what the government and corporations will do to stop you from being self-sufficient. But if you had your feel of this foolishness, then you might like this one right here. Check it out. Until then, stay wild.
Bare feet in the dust, heart beating